partying with those guys? I mean, they'd have to drink, right, to get out of that, whatever the hell they're
in. You say that glass coffins are the future of. Okay, I wasn't able to finish that one.
No, not at all. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford along with Magic Man Sean Grice and Joe Soro. It's Gerald Glassford, the Lakers Fast Break. Just make sure you go ahead and check out our other great shows, including the Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast, but also as well, of course, I do the Inside Sports Fantasy Football with Chris Sardieri, who's probably not a happy camper right now as a New York Giants fan, but he, along with the guys from the Lakers Fast Break, were on a great show last week, so I look forward to more great thoughts from Chris here. Coming up for Week 5 in the NFL, teams are already starting to have some buys, so you got to go ahead and make sure you're aware of what's going on with your fantasy team coming up here on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Also, as well as Joe Soro, I just mentioned him. He goes ahead by the moniker of Ox 1947. There you go, 1947 indeed, because you can find him at LakersBall.com under Ox1947, and of course the company that he owns, Simblades with a Y.com. And contrary to any rumors out there about Joe on our previous show, well, I don't know if you're listening to us, it'll actually be the following show, when we were talking to Peter Sampson on Portland, he was not sleeping. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that it has been confirmed he was absolutely awake for the entire interview. It was actually a really good interview with Peter Sampson. I hope you guys catch it because he had a lot of great things to say. Yeah, Sean is not convinced, but go ahead and check out Joe Soro. You're like this. It was look like this. Okay, your eyelids were closed.
Does it look like do I look like I'm sleeping?
It looks like yes. To be honest with you. Well, you look like you're sleeping and then spitting ice back into your.
Well, cup, I look like I'm sleeping because my focus is on the phone.
Oh, but I tell you what, go ahead and follow him today on, of course.
My ass was asleep, but not my face.
Also, please go ahead and check out what they're doing at Lakerholics.com. You know, Laker Tom is already giddy.
Some might say there's not a big difference between the two, Joe.
Can I finish my intro?
Sorry.
Please?
No.
I got to give all these people pub. They come on our shows. They're so nice. They deal with us. So can I do my intro? Thank you. LakersBall.com, even though I can't post on anymore because unfortunately it keeps on showing a virus for me. So I'm like, I can't go. And I told them to try and fix it. They haven't fixed it yet. But if you can get on there, please go ahead and try LakersBall.com. Also as well, Empire Jeff TV. He just got finished talking about Media Day. So go ahead and check out what he has to say on YouTube at Empire Jeff TV. Lakers in 5. Go ahead and check out what those guys do as well on that great channel on YouTube. And, of course, John McCallion. Always good to see him going ahead and putting out those streams. Go ahead and support them today by subscribing. And speaking of subscribing, we always kid around with this, but we always remind you, if you have not done that yet already, I don't even want to see the percentage when I go to my screen in the back as far as YouTube, and I look it up as far as the Creator Studio, and I see how many people that are watching are subscribed and not subscribed. I don't want to see that because I know that all these other YouTube individuals, personalities, they always worry about that. I certainly hope you do subscribe today because not only does it help us, it also helps you because it gives you the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with another Lakers Fast Break podcast. This is our 3rd show of the night, and if you were subscribed, you would have gotten a notification on that. So welcome to our thoughts because Lakers training camp is starting officially tomorrow. And what starts before then, but nothing other than Lakers Media Day 2023. But before I do, I've got a special toast to my good friend, Mr. Magic Man Sean Grice. Sean, I toast to you, my friend, for your hard work in getting all 29 NBA team previews done, although I did help myself from time to time. A great portion of the work was done by you, and you are deserving of all the praise and glory for that. But if you want to go ahead and check out every single NBA team preview that we've done, that's not the edge we want to actually see, Joe. But okay. Go ahead and check it out below on the YouTube channel. It's a playlist I have created with all the NBA team previews. So go ahead and do that. It is Lakers Media Day, and it looks like they were having much less fun than we're having here on the
Did you
show.
say nutless fun?
No, much less
Oh,
fun. Much less fun because I'm sure the players and the team as a whole stood up there for their fake smiles for the pictures up there. Cheese, I'm standing there. We're gonna look so good this year. We're looking so bad, and then they do their intros, the
I
K-Cat.
don't think I remember seeing them do that.
Well, yeah, they took their pictures. Yeah, did
I
you
don't
not?
remember them singing.
No, I said they say their promos and the intros for K-Cow because and then also Spectrum Cable. You have Spectrum Cable, so you get to see it. So,
I have direct TV.
oh, you're direct TV. Well, there you go. So, but they have their intros that they tape and record right there on Media Day. But also as well, they go ahead and they answer questions from the press at large, and boy, do they always look so thrilled in doing so. But there were some things of note to talk about on today's program. And here today to go ahead and do just that. Good man indeed. Yeah, all you hear is Gerald. I'm the host. That's why. You'll hear them in a second, Dante. Don't worry, you'll get your Joe Sorrow fix here in a sec. I know that there's a portion of the audience that cannot live without a Joe rant or a Joe talk to about that. So, all right, you'll get it soon. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. And Sean, great to have you here, my friend. Your thoughts on today's Laker Media Day? I guess there wasn't any bombshells or anything as far as strife or anything, just like really juicy to sink into, like the fact in Philadelphia that James Harden didn't even show up for Media Day. So I'm sure the NBA will not be appreciating that too much. Or Giannis Antetokounmpo, who said, yeah, I want to be a Milwaukee for as long as they win. Which again leads us to believe that that's not much different than what he said before. But your thoughts, my friend, on Lakers Media Day? Obviously, the best news that came out of it was that from LeBron James, he said that his son Bronny James is doing well. According to Coach Andy Einfeld last week, he said he's going to class, not yet at practice, but there will come a day soon where Bronny James is back practicing and playing for the USC Trojans.
Yeah, you know what, Gerald? It's nice to see a media day with the Lakers that doesn't involve cherry bombs being thrown in the toilet or turds in the punch bowl. It was just a bland media day. Couldn't be happier about that. Yeah, Giannis pretty much said the same thing he said 2 weeks ago. I don't know why people are acting like it's any different. As far as we're concerned, yeah, it was kind of boring to me, Gerald, which is a nice change of pace for this
Yeah, no
organization.
controversy or drama. It's actually kind
No,
of nice.
it was actually, and like the the silver lining and the positive takeaway is that Brownie's fully healthy. It looks like he's going to be a go for USC this year, so I think that's
That
great.
was great news. That was
That
actually
was great news. Tremendous. That ultimately means Bronny's fully recovered and can continue his athletic career, Gerald. So, I mean, just positives all around on that note.
kind of scary though that he did say that there was a surgical procedure done
Hmm.
while he was in the hospital for those 3 days. So it was kind of scary hearing that takes place because you never want to mess around with the heart, but obviously it's leading to some good results and the fact that he will be getting out on the court real soon, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. And you know something? I mean, that's uh, Gerald. That's common. I'm sure your two daughters who are aspiring nurses and your wife uh, and myself. All have kind of history with that, and you can kind of be born with a hole in your heart, and
I was.
you were. So yes, one of those individuals, and sometimes they don't find it.
About the size of a pin,
Pin,
mine
yeah.
was. So
So I mean, it was just fortunate, Gerald. That's what it was. Is fortunate, and also blessing that Bronny had a strong heart, because it looks like he's recovered.
absolutely. Great to hear that he's gone back to classes and that he will be practicing sometime in the near future. I know there's much more that we can go ahead and go over about the what was thought was said during the course of the summer, which kind of proved out to not to either be false or it proved out to be not true, or yeah, just not really anything of note or consequence. We'll go ahead and discuss that and some things of note as well. But also here today, good man indeed. You're going to get your Joe Soro fix because he's here right now. It is the man behind Ox 1947 at LakersBall.com. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, good to have you here. Again, it wasn't the most exciting Lakers media day ever, but then again, that's kind of good, isn't it?
I was born with a hole in my soul.
Well, it's still there. It hasn't healed, that's for sure.
There was something that came up though. I don't know if you guys watched the Anthony Davis interview, but Anthony Davis threw out a little bit of a gauntlet towards Denver. I think it was towards Mike Malone and his gyrations at the parade.
Oh, he had too much cinnamon whiskey, Joe. He got a little over his head.
The only problem with AD saying this is AD doesn't necessarily usually back up his talk, like, so I'm hoping that happens.
And that they use it as motivation.
Yeah. I'd like to knock off the champs on our way to the title if possible. That would be nice. So he's set the seed. He's planted the seed already. So we're going to see what kind of opening day message the Lakers are going to serve if AD comes out and drops 40 and 20 on Denver in Denver on ring night. I'll probably take it a little bit more seriously.
What would be the best? Well, let me ask you this. What would be the best playoff scenario? Would it be like beating Golden State in the first round, or beating Memphis in the first round, beating Golden State in the second round, just like last year, then beating Denver, and then beating the Celtics for the championship? Would that be the ultimate?
Ideally, it would be, if I had to choose, Warriors in the first round, Phoenix in the second, Denver in the Western Conference Finals, and then taking out Boston in the finals.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
that's absolutely a lot. That's a lot of road.
That's hard work, right there.
That's hard work there. The Lakers would have to be pretty damn dominant. That reminds me of Shaq and Kobe teams, just mowing everybody down. That's good. I mean, shoot, even the 2010 run for the Lakers, they beat every 50-win team that year on the way to the championship.
This is true, my friend. This is true. One thing I will ask you, though, is if you can go ahead and let me know in your thoughts in regards to the fact that LeBron James did comment on AD, saying that AD is now the man. AD is now the guy that the team has to look towards to as the guy on the team. Your thoughts? Do you take it at face value, or do you see it as another attempt by LeBron just to get inside AD's head?
I don't believe anything they say.
I could tell. Magic Man, what were your thoughts on that?
Trudell does.
Trudell, yeah.
Trudell believes everything that they say.
Gerald, come on. That's just it's.
I'm just feeding you the questions.
Yeah,
I already know the answers.
Yeah, it's just a platitude.
Yeah,
platitude, baby, platitude.
That's it.
It's
I'll have to see it in practice.
Yeah,
I'll have to see it in practice.
This is
I guarantee
plain old platitude. POP.
Yes. I guarantee you, if guys like us were around this media thing, they would never say these things. Because I would say, what do you mean it's AD's team? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
You're LeBron James.
You'd ask him to expand his answer.
You're LeBron James. What do you mean it's his team? Who are you fooling? And then everybody like, no, I'm serious. Come on, LeBron. There's no such thing as it's AD's team. This is LeBron James's team until LeBron James decides to take it off, right?
Yep.
Isn't
Heavy
that what
lies
you
the
all do?
crown.
So you're telling me it's his team, yet every time I see you guys, you're doing this. You think the king goes, oh, it's the bishop's castle. Oh, no, it's our first knight's castle. Guys, stop insulting our intelligence. Enough of the BS, please. That's all I ask. I mean, am I asking for too much here?
Hell yeah, you're asking for too much.
I'll drink to that.
Once again, it is the Lakers.
I mean,
fast
really,
break.
you're not, but you kind of
Yeah,
are.
but it was funny the way you said it, though. So it was fun. It was good.
Once again, it's the Lakers fast break. It
Are
is
we
Joe
boring
Soro.
you, Gerald?
No,
Yeah, he looks bored. He really
No.
does.
no, not at all. Just you guys doing your thing.
I think
Once-
Gerald likes. See, here's the thing: the difference
here
between
we
Gerald and us is Gerald likes the feels. We don't give a rat's behind about feels, so at least I don't.
IDGARA for life.
These are
Life
the guys
is
I
too
work
short.
with.
Life is too short to just BS all day, every day.
Define feels.
Feels. You like good stories and massaging of the heartstrings.
How do you know?
Just because I know.
No, good. No, you don't. These are the guys I work with.
Okay, so let's talk about the media day. Everybody's positive, right? Hey, I've been
Always.
working all summer.
Best shape of my life.
Best shape of my life, and we're here. We're a team, and we're backing each other up, and we're
Championship, here we come.
yay, and let's do this, and yes, and then all of a sudden I'm like sitting there going, if you guys get blown out opening night, I'm gonna kick your ass with my foot. So that's the thought process. Well, why are you being so negative? Not negative. If they win opening night by whooping some ass, I'll be like, oh, so they were working this summer. Talk is cheap. Stats are for losers. All I care about is this. You can't see me unless you do this.
Bloodhound says the team will take time to gel, and that was something that
No.
was noted.
This is not Russell Westbrook on this team. This team needs to set a mark. They've been practicing in San Diego, getting ready already, creating the chemistry. They need to.
And here's the thing, Gerald. I forget who we had on a few days ago, but I had just done some research earlier that day, and they had brought up the opening day. It was Rich from Let's Go Warriors. He brought up the ring ceremony game. I did some research over the past 10 years. 8 out of the 10 defending champions have won on ring night, Gerald. I'm going to ask you a question. Of the 2 teams who didn't win on ring night, which one of those teams do you think was that, Gerald?
I believe one was the Lakers.
That's correct. We lost to the Clippers on ring night.
Pretty sure I remember that.
And the only other team to lose was Dallas. Dallas lost
the
next year. Yeah. So I really want to pound the Nuggets on ring night, Gerald.
You're talking about Dirk's Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I really that's basically what Joe's saying. Don't show me. Don't talk about it. Show me, right? On opening night. So you got to put up at least, if they're really, like, I'm thinking they got to put up at least 130, 140 on Denver to really send a message, Gerald. If they really want to send a message, they will just blow them out. like the doors off, like that. This is what we're talking about though, because AD is really Joe's right. The daddy comments, I think, pissed him off. Doesn't doesn't usually play pissed off, Gerald, but when he does, he's usually very forceful. So
Yes.
I'm almost imagining that we're going to see a very forceful Anthony Davis on opening day. I hope
The thing
everybody
is, can he
follow.
sustain it over the
Right,
course of the season?
right. That's the point. That
So
I
it
think.
can become its team. Otherwise, because like I said, I think all three of us has to see it to believe it. LeBron could tell you the media all he wants that it's 80s team, it's 80s team, it's 80s team, blah 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 blah. We all know, like you said, it's LeBron. And whether you love him or hate him, you do know he has to with just the amount of just amount of games he's played, amount of experience he's had, amount of points he scored, et cetera, championships, all that. He does have a little bit of an ego. So in order to go ahead and truly believe, he's going to have to go ahead and you know tamper down his ego in order to go ahead and get it to AD and allow him to be the number one. Which again, when it comes down to crunch time, Joe, do you think they're going to go ahead and even it out, play it more AD style, or still it's going to be LeBron isolation, chucking up those threes once again?
No, I think LeBron needs to understand that chucking up threes likely cost them the title last year, making
I hope
ill-advised
so.
shots. If you want to go, we've seen AD be clutch. We saw it,
Yep.
getting saw it against Denver on a game-winning three. So it's happened. We've seen it. It's won us a championship. The reality of AD is, can he stay healthy for an entire season and playoffs? Not just physically, mentally. Because I think a lot of his fatigue is mental. Because it takes a certain mentality to want to crush your enemies. And if the daddy comment is the first time in AD's professional career where he's like, oh, okay. Oh, you want daddy to come now? All right. I'll show you who daddy is. Well, hopefully he can show daddy 8 times against Denver. That's what I'm going to be waiting for. You can't get all upset without it coming back with some juice. And the juice is whooping that ass and having a higher number at the end of the game. That's how you do it. So it's nice. I do like a little bit of angst in games and fights, just because it adds a little bit more flair to the player. These are professional players. Bulletin board material is a legitimate thing. It does rile people up, and a lot of times when people get riled up, they usually show up. And but again, I'm not going to sit here and say that LeBron bequeathing the team to AD has any relevance or any merit. There's no such thing as an all-time great ever relinquishing his throne. And I'm using that because he calls himself the king, right? Kobe never did it. Once he got it, Shaq reluctantly gave it to Dwayne Wade because his game was, disintegrating. I don't even know if that's considered really anything other than that. The greats don't do that. They just don't. So until I see LeBron throwing the ball down into the post to AD on a last second shot, I'm going to believe that LeBron's going to either go to the hole and dish or take the shot.
Well, the thing is also, and Lakers in 5 has a good point. LeBron is in year 21. AD needs to take over, but it's also AD just, backing up what he says, Sean, and actually doing it and actually wanting to do it and actually having the temperament to do it. Part of the reason he is the way he is, one of the best number twos, for the past few years, Sean, is because he just hasn't had the temperament to want to be that number one guy. So in order, I guess the whole organization thinks he can't take that next step. They signed him to the extension. They put their money and faith into him. It is now time for AD to go ahead and take the reins and go ahead and take the ball away from LeBron and say, you know what? I need it in the clutch. I'm the one who should be the first option when it comes down to crunch time and in the playoffs. He needs to go ahead and have that temperament. He needs to change the scenario and actually everything that we've known about him for so many years. Be on the floor, be more consistent all year long, and also be able to go ahead and have that temperament to go ahead and get it done when it matters the most, like he has before at times, but he's just been so reluctant to go ahead and do so. Now is the time for him to take over so that LeBron can go ahead and be fresher and be more available to us when it matters the most.
Yeah, Gerald. This is a man who got a double nickel once for the purple and gold. So, and there's of the legends that have played for us, there's less than a handful of guys who've been able to do that, and he's one of them. It's
But the question
interesting.
is, will he step up to do it? That's the thing.
He averaged 19 and a half and 12 and a half in the first round against Memphis, Gerald. He had two really good games and he had two really poor games. So that 19 and 12 really doesn't tell you a player's dominant, right?
No.
It's no less than 20 points per game. It's acceptable for a number two or number three, Gerald, not for a number one.
Yeah.
A number one in that series averages 28 and 14, and just eats alive Triple J and Steven Adams and whoever they want to throw at him. I think he can again, but it's Gerald. Like we've talked about this before, and I know Jamie talks about it a lot too. It's like passivity and aggression is not like a switch. You can't decide to turn it on or off. You either have it or you don't. It's not either you
Yeah.
have it in reserve or you don't have it. You either
And,
got it or you don't.
and he has to have it and he has to step up to it. And the thing is, this is the guy, who has said on quite many occasions, both, out and in the open and also behind the scenes that he wants to stay at the four spot, even though statistically everyone knows that he plays better from the five spot, but he's always said he wants to go the four. It looks like this year, starting off, Joe, that he's going to play the five. I don't know if it's 100% certain. Obviously, there's been no, set number five starter as of yet, but it looks more and more like he's going to be playing the number five. But he has to have that mentality that he can dominate any other center in the league at this point in time. Doesn't matter if it's Joker. Doesn't matter if it's Embiid. He has enough talent to go ahead and match up with them mano y mano and really come out on top. It's just a matter of, does he have what it takes as far as the drive to do so? And hopefully, as now, if the team is absolutely going to go ahead and do just that and allow him the opportunity to be the number one, or LeBron handing over the reins, so to speak, which you and I don't think will happen. It just has to be at some point in time for the team to go all the way. I think AD has to step up even more.
There is one little caveat in that 4-5 scenario.
Mm-hmm.
If Christian Wood plays lights out at the center position, that could change that.
That's a big if.
So there's a better chance that it'll work out that way than not, because you're dealing with someone who is talented enough to do it. The only issue is defense, right? So if he's a issue on the defensive end to the point where the team is being derailed, then obviously you can't do that. But let's say he plays at least good team defense and is shooting 42% from three. I cannot tell you how, I would say, devastating that would be for the opposing team with that kind of space for LeBron James. And even to some degree, which is Darvin Ham is going to be playing Austin Reeves at the point sometimes as well. So that means LeBron might be roaming around a little bit more. If you can open up that lane that much more, you are going to have an advantage.
Sean, you're shaking your head. Is it because of the fact that, yes, I would like to see Wood and AD pair up from time to time, but the thing is, if they pair up with LeBron, again, who guards the threes during this process? I would just go try to go small if I was the opposing coach and see what happens there. But it could work
And
out
we
like
know we knew Darvin would love that.
but exactly. But Joe could be right. If they go to a smaller set and the Lakers have that big front line, it could, like I said, it works out both ways. Much better on offense, but who knows what it's going to be like on defense, Sean.
Yeah, who knows, Gerald? Because right now, like you said, it's it's a mystery wrapped in enigma, wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a who the hell knows who's legitimately going to be the stopper, because that person has yet to reveal themselves. We think it's Vando, but we don't know yet. I'm with you. Like that, those three guys on the floor without an established role player that's you can see his 3-and-D, Gerald. I just don't see it working yet, and it's great in practice. I just wouldn't go with it in a game situation until you get that hole plugged up.
Again, I gotta see it. I gotta see if because you, like I said, when you're having those three out there and you go big like that, you must have Wood stretching the floor out, Joe. You're right. It must be where he's hitting 40 to 42% of his threes. If that's the case, then it makes any problems or issues you might have on the defensive end that much easier to deal with because you're hitting shots, you're out on the break, you're going ahead and having LeBron with open lanes to the basket, you're getting the fouls, you're going ahead and shooting a lot of free throws. Things are really good and really cooking if that's the case. So I'm hoping that that's the case because, again, whatever defensive issues or quandaries you would have, offensively, they would just be able to get it done like that.
Well, Gerald, since we've gone through all 29 other teams, let me ask you a question. How many nights in the Western Conference do you think Anthony Davis is going to have to punch in and bring his lunchbox?
I mean, as far as
Well, name. Let's throw so Jokic. You're gonna have to
yeah,
bring your lunchbox and your hard
Embiid,
hat with him in the Western Conference. I said.
let's just in the Western Conference. I mean, after Jokic, I mean, you've just got a whole bunch of standard centers right there. I don't know if you consider Aiton at that level. Aiton is at that level on certain occasions, seemingly
Okay,
when.
we know that Wemby and Chet Holmgren they're gonna want a
But
piece of
Wemby doesn't
Anthony.
want to play the five.
Well, I mean, somewhere, Gerald, they're gonna be matched up against one
Oh
another on
yeah,
the
yeah,
floor.
that's just the ways it works out. There's
So
there's
I'm saying, Gerald, is there's a standard. Dom Sabonis is going to be
And
a
Darren
work.
says the Timberwolves who can throw 2 7-footers at you.
You got Naz Reid, you got Cat, you also got Rudy against AD. Yeah, that's going to be a hard hat lunch, but not a lot, Gerald. There are a lot of young centers, young forwards in the Western Conference. Anthony Davis really only has a hard day's work, I think. Minute like Darren was saying, Minnesota. Then you got Sacramento. Phoenix is a Gerald. That's a picnic. That's a
Mhm.
picnic now. DeAndre Ayton isn't there. Uh, well, you
If
don't
you
like
can't
picnics?
dominate Nurkic at this point
Yeah,
in his career, that's really a sad
exactly.
sign.
What's the
Yeah.
matter, Joe? You don't like picnics?
Well, one of the things I do want to ask you, Joe, and I'll bring Joe back in here, Mr. Smiley himself. One of the things I want to ask you, my friend, is Torian Prince, who today said something a little bit eye-opening, and that he says he will definitely shoot 40% from behind the arc. And this is the guy who I'm going to go look it up when the last time he did shoot from there, but it wasn't last year. He's shooting about 37%. Your thoughts on him actually going ahead and, I won't say guaranteeing it, but kind of guaranteed it. Joe?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Joe, you can speak now when I send it over to you.
Uh,
Because you always talk about, remember, you're the guy that always talks about the LA lights, 5 percentage points
yeah,
down from what they normally shoot, blah, 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 blah,
it's
blah.
it's not sounding good right now with all the talk. So now he's put a
That's
giant bullseye on his back,
Yes, he has.
and there are better players than Torian Prince who have failed at dealing with the LA lights and pressure.
Mhm.
I will be supporting him. I would
Mhm.
obviously love the fact that if he could hit from 40 to 42, but the issue there too is
He's only done it twice in his career.
is he going to relinquish that 42% on the defensive end, which is where he struggles?
Or actually once in his career, my bad. Sorry.
So yeah, the Lakers have two issues that they need to address that they didn't do very well last year. Number one, they weren't good in closeout transition defense, and then they weren't good at shooting threes. If they could go up 10 spots on the threes and move up a little bit on defense, then you have a long ways in terms of, or a shorter way of having issues down the road. I I don't want. I'm not happy with the talk. Usually I do, because most of the time when the Lakers would talk, they back it up. But this team hasn't. I don't feel this team has that kind of personality to talk. They just get to work and show it. If you want to talk after that, that's fine. But I just don't. I don't really care. I don't really care about the words. I'm focused. I'm focused on watching you guys. Show me a little bit of the tease in training camp, in the preseason games. We'll be able to tell after a few plays probably if this is something that could be, progressive. But too much talk before you walk in LA with the pressure. We're watching. The LA fandom is very, 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 very diligent, very focused. We know our basketball. We remember everything. Do not fail if you're talking. Just don't. Otherwise, it's going to get much, much worse for you. So that's the only advice I can give you to help you.
One of the things I want to ask Sean is Rui Hashimura, who is under consideration for the final starting spot on the roster. I know Bloodhound in our chat was talking about he was under the impression that he was the number 3 at this point in time. Nothing's been definitive as of yet. We only know about the 4 starters. Of course, the backcourt of Russell and Reeves, and of course, LeBron and AD. The thing that is hopefully will work out itself out in training camp and the exhibition season. But when it comes to Rui Hashimura, he said that the talk of him losing weight and all the stuff talk that we talk, was speculated upon and pretty much said out there that he had lost X amount of pounds and all this weight. He said actually wasn't to the extent that what people were talking about, and that a lot of it was based on the fact that he was pictured near LeBron, who is a very large size individual. He carries that great frame. So he said when you compare the two, that's why he might have looked a little smaller. I don't know what he means by that, by backing off the implied statements about how he would lost some weight, so he was going to go ahead and play more 3. So that just leaves everyone a little bit more confused on whether or not he still wants to play predominantly 4 or whether he still wants to play predominantly 3. And if that's the case, he can't play 3 as much as we would like to. It makes a harder fit for him to be in that starting lineup, doesn't it, Magic Man?
Yes, it does, Gerald. That's a lot of power, but not a lot of speed. And it's obviously a tactical strategy that would be taken advantage of significantly. Look, the defense was just so much better after the trade deadline, and it was by design. After the trades were made, obviously, Gerald, they coaching staff, which is, by the way, a little different this year, but they all agreed that it was in the best interest of the team that Jared Vanderbilt start and Rui come off the bench. Now, I remember before the decision was made, Gerald had mentioned that he thought that that's the way they should go. Although Gerald emphasized it that he thought Rui was a better overall player when he was
Yeah.
coming off the bench, and
I
that
just think he matches
proved
up
to be
better against
true.
second teams. And because Vanderbilt's not going to
And
give
that
you
was before he
offense.
even played a minute with us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, just Vanderbilt's not going to give the kind of offense you need coming off the bench. So he's just a much better fit with what he can do defensively. If you're going to play him, if you're going to give him a 4-year extension and go ahead and play the guy, the best matchup for him at this moment is in that starting lineup because he seems awkward coming off the bench, giving him 15 to 20 minutes a game, unless you've got some specific matchup you have in mind for him to go ahead and attack. So we'll see what
And
happens.
and Gerald, I'd also like to emphasize that this also isn't a situation, like as an example where Carmelo Anthony was very resistant to come off the bench for
Yes.
Marquise Chris. I don't think there's any ill will or any of those bubbling up resentful feelings amongst the players. I think they're all rooting for each other, Gerald, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a competition, but we're all in the same team here, and I don't think there's any animosity or acrimony between these competitions.
Absolutely. Although if Vanderbilt can't hit the shot, any consistency from the outside, it makes it that much harder to
We're
go
gonna
ahead and
find out Saturday,
Yeah.
aren't we? We're gonna
Well,
find out
we're gonna find out
Saturday.
through the exhibition season as far as exactly what that
Yeah,
will
if he
look
doesn't make
like.
his shots in the starting lineup, he's not going to be starting very long.
Yeah, and that's the
Well,
problem.
and that's why I would try that experiment at first just
Yeah.
to get it out of the way.
We'll see what happens. But Dante says Rui said he's more defined and toned. He didn't say he lost any weight. It was just speculated on what was out there that he had lost a certain amount of weight, and that's what we reported because it was reported to us. Several outlets, several Lakers reporters had reported the same thing. So he's just more defined and toned at this point in time. So we'll see if that translates into him allowing himself to play more 3 or if that sticks to playing more 4 there. So we'll see what happens. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro and Magic Man Sean Grice. Thanks so much for watching, listening, along with me, Gerald Glassford. We're talking Lakers Media Day that happened earlier today. Nothing real major of note, no juicy tidbits, no controversy, no drama behind the scenes, which actually for us is a breath of fresh air, Joe. But when you have out in the NBA landscape, some things that was said by Giannis Antetokounmpo in regards to what I said earlier. He said that he would love to be a Milwaukee Buck as long as they're winning. And then, of course, you have the drama still unfolding in Philadelphia with James Harden not even bothering to show up, or maybe he was told to stay away by Philadelphia, and whatever you want to go ahead and say about that. So he'll be seeing a nice large fine in his future. It just sends a message that I think that when it comes down to it, Joe, I think the Lakers, the synergy that they have, that they enjoy playing with each other, LeBron mini camp in San Diego, all this is equating to, I think, what could be, health willing, a very good season, Joe.
Yeah, starting off with your first comment about Giannis. Giannis is officially, I guess, on the outs with Milwaukee. It didn't make sense when he was talking about as long as the Milwaukee Bucks are focused on winning. This is a small market team that had the 4th largest payroll, and they have a damn good roster, or had a damn good roster even before Damian Lillard was acquired. So I don't know what's going on with Giannis in Milwaukee. Must be something behind the scenes that happened to where he's just continuing to throw these little subtle jabs at Milwaukee and saying that I'm not necessarily going to ever really commit. I don't know. This doesn't sound right. Sounds like he just isn't happy there for some weird reason. James Harden, I don't know where I would send them somewhere bad at this point. Send them
The
to
Clippers?
Send him to Minnesota. No, that's where he wants to go. I wouldn't send him
Well,
anywhere
you said
near where
send
he
him
wants to
somewhere
go.
bad. I just
Yeah,
said the
no,
Clippers.
bad is in send them
I
to
know.
the Pelicans. Send them to
Washington.
Washington, somewhere where that mouth and that beard can soak it in even more. Sending him to the Clippers would be first of all, what the hell are the Clippers going to send? That's the question. It's the same question we were asking about Miami. And
It would be man. That's what they would be asking for.
if I'm
and they're
if
not
I'm the
gonna get it.
Clippers, God help us all. I wouldn't send anyone. I wouldn't send man for him. Why? Why the hell would you do that?
It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
I guess I'd
James
be
Harden
happy.
at this stage of his
I
career.
would love it. As a Laker fan, I would love it. It would just add to the disaster that's about to come, right? But if I'm Morey, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm like, I ain't sending you anywhere where you want to go. I'm going to send you where I want you to go, and you're going to have to deal with it. You want to pout while you get there, then Adam Silver needs to start getting up and taking care of this problem.
Charlotte. I think Charlotte would be a great place to go.
I wouldn't do that if I'm Charlotte. You don't want to destroy.
No, but you'd want to send him to Charlotte.
No.
Sending him to a bad place.
Send him to Washington. Send him to Minnesota. I'm thinking Karl Anthony Towns, once they get to 15 and 30, there's going to be a lot of talk about him getting traded. I'd say that's the next big trade.
Probably.
Because I just don't think it's going to work in Minnesota for Karl Anthony Towns. He needs to be a second guy next to an all-time great.
And I'm bronchial. Send me someplace warm. I'm bronchial.
Yeah. So send him to Miami.
Unbelievable.
Send him to Miami, where all the gays just go to die, right?
Well, Sean, let me bring it to you then back here as far as the Lakers are concerned. I mean, some of the other guys that were in fact, the whole team was available. Some of the other interesting comments were by Max Christie, talking about, even as a 20-year-old, can he crack the Lakers rotation on a regular basis? And he talked about some of the things, obviously, he has to get done in order to do so. He looks a little bit bigger. He looks a little bit stronger. Obviously, that's some of the things that he needed to go was to get in the weight room and do just that. Your thoughts on Max Christie and his comments today? Obviously, he's very hopeful of getting the opportunity. I think he's still in competition with Cam Reddish, among others, for that 2, 3, 4 slot as far as being able to, between him, Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, those guys that are playing in that wing mix right there as far as backup to see who gets the minutes there. Your thoughts on what Max Christie can do this season?
Yeah, Gerald, do you remember the those old Fisher Price pictures where you'd click it and there'd be a different photo?
Yep.
That's kind of what Max Christie was last year. It's like flick good, flick bad. Flick
Darren has him
good.
starting in 2 years.
Is he going to be on the Lakers roster in 2 years?
That could be the thing. Yeah. It could be the starter on an expansion team by that time. We'll see.
Oh God, I hope not. Because Gerald, they might. Rob's made a lot of great moves over the off season, but that was fumble in the bag.
Well, that's the second time he's done that, as far as at least with a second rounder, and you only give him a limited contract.
Right, and there's plenty of evidence of young players like teetering there with the Lakers. Are they going to be on the Lakers? Are they going to be in the rotation? Are they going to go somewhere else? And usually, like, the tip of the scale always happens, and the Lakers normally bring them back. And they usually either underperform, THT, or they're shown the door, unfortunately, like Alex Caruso. So I don't want to see either one of those things happen to Christie. Although a part of me also thinks, Gerald, that Max Christie could do everything right, and Darvin Ham could still not play him for 15 or 20 minutes a night.
I have a feeling you're right as well. It's you and I and Joe could be screaming about trying to get Max Christie in the game, and yet Ham, even with his 3 guard rotations, will not have him a part of it.
Yeah, no. That's
I can
what
see that happening.
Yes, that's my biggest concern here is that it's not Christie whose potential is held back. It's the head coach who holds Christie's development back here because he's so obstinate and goddamn stubborn about a three-guard lineup that wouldn't win. A, I'll just end it there. But yeah,
Yeah, don't get Zangerstein mad if she comes on
oh,
here in the
but
chat.
yeah, Gerald, I mean, he can't stunt this kid's development. Like, there's a reason Rob drafted him, right, Gerald? And we talked about this on
Well,
draft night
there's a
when they
reason
got him
Rob paid the money
money
to
to get
acquire the
acquired
draft
him.
pick. Yes,
Right. Because Rob said that at that moment in time, he was the best player available. And he also said, Gerald, that if they didn't get him then. If he went back to school, he likely would have been a lottery pick, and he wouldn't have been able to secure his draft rights.
that's true.
But
Absolutely.
so he says all this, and you got to believe, Gerald, that in a meeting with Darvin Ham, like Rob's got to be insistent that look, we spend a lot of draft capital on this guy, and his growth cannot be stunted or kind of quelled because you have this idea in your head about some three-guard bump lineup that hasn't won blank blank, and this kid could be a real find. So what are you gonna do, coach?
I mean, it has to be more than just giving him minutes and giving him run in the exhibition season, Joe. And before I hit you up with one of the more interesting aspects of today's media day in the NBA, I want to hear your thoughts on Max Christie. I mean, do you hold as much faith as Magic and I do on the fact that I think the kid can play, but the problem is, will he get the opportunity?
If he makes the shots, yes.
Okay.
He'll have to force them to play him.
That's
Question
what
is,
you
what
want to do.
position is he going to play? Is he going to be a guard or is he going to be a three?
He's got to be a 2. Got to be a backup 2. He's just
Okay.
not big enough. Even though he did gain weight and strength, he's still actually depending on the matchup. If there's the other team is small, like for instance, we were talking to Peter Sampson from Portland. If they go small with Shaden Sharp, Simons, and Scoot, then you could go ahead and get away with having someone like Max Christie, who's
I think the reality of what this
does he
team
look
is,
about Klay Thompson's size, 6'6", 6? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, yeah.
About that.
Christie's a legit 6'6". He's a little
Okay.
bit taller than Reeves.
Okay. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
the role players on this team have to understand that there's going to be games where they play 5 minutes and some games where they play 20 minutes. That's really what I'm waiting to see how Darvin Ham handles that part of the coaching part. Can he?
Yeah, there he's around, but he's around his size. Yeah, Klay is an inch taller. Yeah.
Can he keep them happy? Playing 5 minutes one game, 20 minutes the next game. That's going to be the question. Max Christie's going to be one of those guys that's probably not going to be as eager, or let's say outwardly eager. He'll kind of still feel like maybe he's paying his dues. But guys like Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, these guys. I think Gabe Vincent's kind of a team guy. I think he'll be fine. But you never know. 5 minutes, 6 minutes. What if Taurean Prince gets hot? What if Cam Reddish has a game where he's hot and you don't want to take him out? That's going to be the challenge for Darvin Ham. They have acquired a lot of satisfactory to B- players, but when you do that, you're not really able to set a 7 to 8 man rotation game in and game out. This is more of a 10-man team, maybe even an 11. Go ahead.
I think he was just adding one more on there for you.
Yeah. So it's he's gonna have to convince these guys that we're going after a championship. I need everyone to understand that Some games they're not going to be needed, and some games we're going to be needed. You need to look at Lonnie Walker as an example. Lonnie Walker didn't play practically for a month, and he came in and he won a playoff game for the Lakers. That should be the focus. That should be what you show your team. And if everybody buys into that, that's when this team will be dangerous, regardless if they start shooting really, really well, because the Lakers seem to still win when they don't shoot well from three. Have you noticed that? I made it to the Western Conference Final as a broken team, a team that was still being kind of formed because you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And those guys allow sometimes those role players to have a game like Lonnie Walker because you can't concentrate on those guys. You have to let somebody else beat you besides the main guys. And health and everyone buying in is actually more important than whether the Lakers can shoot threes or not. The Lakers won a championship in 2020 in really dominant fashion, not really being a good three-point shooter. And they were winning the following year until AD broke. Because I remember 2021. That year was known as the 3-minute disappearing act every game. For 3 minutes, the Lakers couldn't score a point. Every game. Every goddamn game, they were not scoring for at least 3 minutes in some part of the game. What did it do? It didn't do anything. Lakers got in they were a low seed, but if that was mainly because of injuries. If the Lakers don't have AD come up limp, they're beating Phoenix and they're probably beating Milwaukee in the finals.
So, guys, it comes down to it. Lakers Media Day 2023 was not all that eventful, but that is kind of a good thing for me because there's no strife, there's no conflict, no bitterness, no nasty words thrown back and forth, nothing subliminal, no backhanded compliments, nothing we have to go ahead and try and really
When did that
interpret.
ever happen?
In the past, yes, it's happened.
When?
Come on. Has there ever been a media day where LeBron has not said something, where he said something in the past in one of his press conferences before, one of his media days before, where he said one of his usual LeBron things, where he's saying one thing and meaning another, or he might be taking a shot at something, or Lakers, their strife like last year with the Russell Westbrook drama that started to play itself out during last media day. So we don't have any of that now. It's good. That's what I'm just trying to say. I'm trying to say it's good. It's peaceful. It's
the
karma.
only time
It's good.
LeBron has said stuff that wasn't good, at least for me, was when it had nothing to do with basketball.
Well, again, that's other people have interpreted some of the things that he said before in the past different ways.
But that's because they don't like LeBron and they're just trying to find crap.
Well, we did have an energy vampire for the past couple of years who kind of,
especially after remember the fiasco that summer league, that when they were there, they wouldn't talk to each other and both on the other, the whole 9 yards. Just that drama is gone, and I'm glad that it's gone. It's now
thanks for bringing it up, Gerald. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome, because that's what I'm trying to do, is how wonderful it is to have just a nice, relaxing media day here. So the last two things I want to go ahead and discuss: Magic Man, Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves was called to do that magical picture, with the stars, LeBron and AD. So he was called first to be called over there, and also D'Angelo Russell as far as the starting four. You notice there was no other individual called to go ahead and do that stars picture, quote unquote. Austin Reeves talks about, what he learned over the course of the summer, playing with FIBA. I'm just worried about maybe him getting a little bit fatigued. What do you think Ham should do over the course of the next couple of weeks to make sure that he doesn't get run down sooner rather than later?
Yeah, Gerald, I thought that question was kind of like weird and awkward. Like, Austin Reeves is
come on over, Austin. Take the picture. Yeah,
mid-20-year-old man, and you're asking him to write a book report about his summer vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, you saw how this man was. I mean, he was treated like Elvis.
Yeah.
For a few weeks. You know what, Gerald? I happen to think that you're right. Like I wouldn't run him into the ground as far as training camp and preseason goes. He played a lot during the summer. He's in shape. I don't think you need to overextend what he can do. I will say this though. I think it is good for his conditioning that he's coming in to the season with wheels on the ground, Gerald,
Yes.
because I think for whatever reason last year, like you said, the poor start and then the just hamster on the wheel mentality that they had to have just to get back. I think it did him in.
Yeah, because this time last year he was not invited up for that big picture with LeBron and AD. So it's
No,
good
he
to
was.
see.
He's somebody probably asked him to get them coffee.
Yep, exactly. Plus, Joe says he's 25. He'll be okay. He'll be okay. But the last question I have for this evening, as far as the Lakers Fast Break podcast on Media Day 2023, Joe, is I guess it wasn't Giannis Antetokounmpo, it wasn't James Harden that caught the ire of so many people. It was in Miami, and the hairdo that Jimmy Butler came out with for today's press conference and Media Day. Your thoughts, Joe, because I've been waiting to ask you this one now all day since I first saw it. Your thoughts on the unique hair design from Jimmy Butler?
You want to repeat what I told you earlier today, Sean?
Uh,
Does it contain an obscenity?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think it did. No,
Okay.
no.
Is it going to offend a certain part of the audience?
Yes, it would.
Okay,
No,
then maybe
sort
we
of,
should say
but
that.
he looked like Andre 3000, but less.
Like hey yeah, Andre 3000, not so fresh so clean Andre 3000. It was
He looked like
emo. It was emo.
He looked like
Andre
Andre
3000.
3000, but on the down low.
Well, it almost looked like Jimmy Bieber Butler. Like it was
Beaver
lot
is
of
the right word.
Bieber.
Lakers in
Bieber.
5. I think that's probably closer to what I think was commonly said out there. I agree. I agree.
That's a better one.
Lakers in 5.
How you doing?
I think Little Nicky was quoted several. Actually, I think it was trending on social media, and we'll just leave it at that. So
I think Jimmy was trolling everyone.
Oh, I think he was too.
Well, he probably was, but he usually comes in with a new hairdo every media day. So last year it was the braids. He looked like he could have been in Milli Vanilli.
There you go. Well, hey, it's something again. He's obviously want to get
Blame it on the rain.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. Here we go, indeed. But once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break, not Milli Vanilli. It is Gerald Glasser along with Joe Sorrow and Magic Man Sean Grice. Thanks so much for watching and listening as always. Again, if you have not checked out all 29, because we're going to do Lakers team preview just before the start of the season, 29 of the NBA teams out there. We've had guests from all around the world talking about the NBA. And in fact, we might bring a couple back because of the trades that were done before the season starts. So be on the lookout for that. But go ahead and check it out today on YouTube in the special playlist that says NBA Team Previews 2023. Darren says there'll be no bleeping for the Rantster. Oh, there's always bleeping for the Rantster. Listen to the audio versions of the show. There's a lot of bleeping there indeed. But guys, great to have you here again. Lakers Media Day. I actually enjoyed it because of the fact that it didn't create or stir a lot of controversy. We heard good news about Bronny James, heard positive attitudes from everyone out there that was far as part of Media Day. Looking forward to a great season. Seems a lot of kumbaya, symbiotic, family, good chemistry starting to form, Joe. Kind of reminds me of 2019, 2020, Joe. Not too bad, Sean. Not too bad, Joe.
Well, as long as it results in what happened then,
yeah,
I'm there.
Absolutely. I saw you and I both. You and I both. But we'll see what happens. Remember last year, Sean, at this time during training camp, they were starting Damian Jones. You got to get that.
Ugh,
Got to
Gerald.
remember that. Got to remember that. I'm sorry.
Gerald, it's almost 2 o'clock. It's a little after 2 o'clock.
Night and day. Night
Yeah,
and
I don't want
day.
to break out the Pepto Bismol at 2 o'clock
Yes.
in the morning,
I'm
Gerald.
just letting you know that this time last year they were starting in the training camp. He was running with the first team. So yeah.
You know what, Gerald? I'm just gonna say this: if you put Mohamed Sene, Robert Swift, Vitale Paldapenko from those great Sonics teams up against Damian Jones, Mo Bamba, and Wendy Gabriel, who would you take, Gerald?
Is that a trick question?
I think.
I'd say give me Potapenko. Give me
Okay, yeah,
Potapenko
yeah.
because
He wasn't bad.
he'll elbow you to death. So there you go. Absolutely.
Yeah,
He'll give you a chip shot or two.
I would take the 21 feet of useless center that the Sonics have over the 21 feet of useless center
How about
we
John
had
Koncak?
last year.
Oh my gosh.
How
That
about
guy
John
can spin a
Koncak
screen.
versus Damian Jones?
No, there was John Koncak, but who was the other center that was like right around him that was just similar to
Joe Klein?
him? Joe Klein. Yes. Yes. They were because they came on the same draft. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were always like mirroring each other. They're like their careers and whatnot. So I will say, Adam, that Bryce Hamilton will be in training camp. He did play out of UNLV. Maybe came out not at the right time. I don't think he'll make the team. He could be a candidate for the G League roster. So that's something that, if he has a good season there, he'll probably get a call up somewhere, maybe in the Lakers. They do have an open spot, guys, but I think that they're looking at bigger fish. I think they're looking at bigger fish to go before they go ahead and fill that up. I think there's, what they have is what they're going to go with for now, unless somebody gets waived. Reggie Bullock is according to reports, is probably going to be leaning towards an Eastern Conference contender. If you hear those latest rumors, could be not. We'll see. But I think that 15th roster spot going to stay open for now, Sean. I really think so.
I agree with you, Gerald. I think they're going to leave it open 100%. It's like unless there's a move to be made where they can absolutely improve and close the door. I agree with you. I think they're going to keep it open.
I think so, unless we're all hoping that, like Empire Jeff earlier today with Oklahoma City, that Isaiah Joe or Poku actually ends up on the waiver wire. That would be something that would be like, yes, that you have to go ahead and get. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to be the case. There's probably more players that are probably going to be cut first from Oklahoma City, but we'll be watching it as we'll be watching what's going on with training camp. It is Joe Sorrell, the Magic Man Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We will be back tomorrow with the training camp update. Hopefully there'll be some good news. Hopefully everybody will stay healthy. Darren says, Joe, is it bad that Gerald and I think alike sometimes? Absolutely not, Darren. Absolutely not. It's kind of scary when you start thinking like Joe. Now that is absolutely scary indeed. So for Joe Sorrell, Magic Man Sean Grice, and me, Gerald Glassford, thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow with more great stuff. Training camp is now here. Lakers training camp has officially started. That's awesome news to hear. And we'll keep up the news and information for you right here with the best Lakers chat room that's out there and the best Lakers show that's out there, the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
You know what? Being John Malkovich was pretty good. I'd watch Being Joe Sorrell.